get ready to get down and groove with 60 minutes of 70s. 60 minutes of 70s. Be there or be square.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of 60 Minutes of 70s, a show that's going to transport you to the 70s with the warm embrace of all of the best tracks from that era. We have the likes of Bowie, the Ramones, the Stooges, Black Sabbath, and many more. We will learn about the experiences of those who lived in the 70s, from parents to record shop owners, and even about the politics behind some of the most iconic 70s tracks. And our opening song was Ballroom Blitz by Sweet, which was released in September 1973 and is one of the defining dance singles by the British glam rock band. It was never actually released on a UK album, it's only ever been on singles and compilations in the UK. And the song was inspired by an incident on 27th of January 1973 when the band was performing in Scotland and were driven off stage by a barrage of bottles. And the initial guitar riff and drum riff of the song has a lot of similarity to a 1963 song by Bob B. Comstock called Let's Stomp.
I can't seem to face up to the facts. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax.
And that was Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads, released December 1977, appearing on their album Talking Heads 77. And it's a deceptively funky new wave song with an insistent rhythm and one of the most memorable driving bass lines in all of rock and roll. I know I, for one, am going to have that bass line in my head all day. I'm just going to be humming it when I'm walking around. It peaked in the charts at number 92. And the song is included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 Songs That Shaped Rock and Roll. And singer David Byrne said about the lyrics of the song, when he started writing it, he imagined Alice Cooper doing a Randy Newman type ballad. And he said that both the Joker and Hannibal Lecter were much more fascinating than the good guys everybody sort of roots for the bad guys in movies. And hence why the song was about a psycho killer. So there we go. And now we have a special competition for you. And you can win 2 tickets to see The Who at the Royal Albert Hall on the 1st of April. All you have to do is tweet us at 60 Mins of 70s, that's 60 Mins of 70s, with the name of the 3 iconic 70s TV show themes we were about to play you. So here they are for you. There we go, just tweet us at 60 Mins of 70s with the names of those 3 70s TV show themes. And if you just missed them, here they are one more time. There you go, so get tweeting those answers and we'll announce the winner at the end of the show. And if you want to tweet us about anything else to do with the show during the show, feel welcome to. And now, Billy went out to talk to some of the people who were alive in the 70s and their experiences of that era, as well as what they remember about it most in terms of music. So take it away, Billy.
On the record.
What I remember about the 70s was a total lack of money with wages, so you couldn't afford to buy many records. So you'd have to wait week after week and month after month.
I remember the Bay City Rollers. I was quite young. I was in primary school. I remember the tartan trousers and the scarves, and I like the Osmonds in the 70s.
Obviously it was all the Grease music, which was those eras. Queen.
The biggest start, when I first started listening, was David Essex.
Queen, the Bee Gees, Mark Bolan and T-Rex, ABBA.
And then after that it was David Bowie and Pink Floyd.
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
It was quite common to listen to the radio on a Sunday evening and record from the radio on the cassette, so you could then know all the up-to-date music. The worst thing was, though, the man always used to speak at the end of the record, so he was quickly trying to press pause as he was speaking so you could get the whole record, but you never could.
But we used to record people. If they was talking, we used to stand behind the door and record them and used to play it back to them.
You can go your own way.
I used to listen to my music on vinyl records or the radio or cassette recordings.
Those days we had more tapes, and then no, actually it wasn't. It was more vinyls, and then it was tapes.
Well, I had numerous record players. I didn't have great volume, so the only thing you could do is get the headphones. That's the best way to do it.
My mum and dad had like a sideboard that had a record player in it, which was quite good, and it had a radio on it as well, and that was quite good. And then later on they got an up-to-date stereo which had a record player with a cassette player, so you could record your records, which was quite good, because then you had your little handheld cassette machines that you could take your cassette out and listen to your music on that.
You can get rid of scratches on record easy enough. It's very rare you can't play the record backwards, so the next stylus would knock the scratch out.
And the little lever on the side that you had to change the speed. It wasn't it 40, 45 and 33? Or if you had it too fast, you had Pinky and Perky.
Boogie to the max with 60 minutes of 70s. Be there or be square.
And that was Television there with See No Evil, released February 1977 from the phenomenal album Marquee Moon, one of my absolute favourite albums. And if you haven't listened to it, when you get the chance sometime soon, go listen to it from start to finish. You will not regret it. And for Marquee Moon, singer Verlaine and fellow guitarist Richard Lloyd abandoned their contemporary punk rock power chords in favour of rock and jazz inspired interplay, melodic lines and counter melodies to create the post-punk sound that they've become known for today. And Television's innovative post-punk instrumentation on Marquee Moon strongly influenced the indie rock and new wave movement of the 1980s, as well as having a lot of effect on iconic rock guitarists from today, such as John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Will Sergeant from Echo and the Bunnymen, and The Edge from U2. And we'll be back with another groovy tune after these short messages.
It came from outer space, devastating the nation, causing a cowering fear on a Sunday night. The new Domino's meatball pizza was crash landed into our laps, with a barbecue sauce base, covered in cheese, and a wide range of animals from the planet Earth. And all that for only $9.99. Grab your slice while it's still hot.
Beer? You find yourself questioning after a long day of work. You ask yourself, do I really want one? Yes, boy, you do. That frosty cold bottle, tender to the touch. The bubbles that diligently rise themselves to the surface just to please us. Brewed to the point of satisfaction and for the most masculine characters. Just kidding. I'm wearing high heels. Up, dog. It's not just for men.
And that was the Ramones there with Sheena is a Punk Rocker, released May 1977. I'm sensing a theme here. Obviously 1977 was an excellent year for music, and that's taken from their album Rocket to Russia, which for me is the absolute best Ramones album. And Sheena's a Punk Rocker is one of the Ramones' most popular songs, and it's also evidence of Joey's early 1960s surf rock and bubblegum pop influences. And the song is notable for being one of the first to explicitly refer to punk rock in its title and lyrics in terms of a subculture. And it's ranked number 461 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, and it's also included in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. And the Sheena referred to in the title, in case you were wondering, is in fact the comic book character Sheena Queen of the Jungle, who appeared as a comic book heroine from 1938 to 1953. Now, we're going to be having a short break, and I know you're going to miss my angelic voice for then, but when we're back, I'll be talking with the owner of Canterbury Rocks, the record store in Canterbury, about his experiences of the live music scene, growing up and selling records in Canterbury in the 70s. But for now, we have the news and weather. So let's see what the world has in store for us. I wonder if it's raining. It probably is. We are in England after all. So let's have the weather with Billy now.
14 migrant children have arrived in the UK as part of efforts to resettle unaccompanied minors at the so-called jungle camp in Calais. They've been brought to an immigration centre in Croydon in South London and are expected to be reunited with UK-based families. Nigel Farage looks likely to stay on as acting leader of UKIP for a while. It follows the resignation of Diane James as Mr Farage's replacement after just 18 days in the job. The party's National Executive Committee has admitted that it may not have a new leader before the new year. Sharon Osbourne's denied being drunk on the X Factor and instead admits she's just been a bit dotty. She forgot the name of one of her acts, Sarah Alto, and faced accusations on Twitter about whether she'd been on the bottle. But Sharon attacked the trolls' comments and later confessed that she's just terrible with names.
I was thinking about something else. I wish I could come up with a better excuse.
What were you thinking about?
I was thinking about songs, and I wonder what that jukebox is going to land on. What are we going to do next week?
Sir Cliff Richard is talking to MPs and peers today about the impact of being wrongly accused of sex crimes. The singer wants a change in the law that would guarantee sex offence suspects won't be named unless they're charged, but some charities argue it would put people off of coming forward. And now onto the weather. It's going to be windy with southerly coastal gales during the day, mainly in the east with lighter winds across inland western countries, variable amounts of cloud and scattered showers, some briefly heavy with a few bright spells mixed in. And tonight we've got showers dying away, becoming mostly dry for most, with strong winds also easing down to calm across many areas. This may allow some fog to form in places with clear spells. Stay tuned and we'll have another weather update for you soon. Get ready to get down and groove with 60 minutes of 70s. 60 minutes of 70s. Be there or be square.
Hello and welcome to Power of the Politics, the one and only show that will entertain and educate you all at once. Listen to our clues and see if you can guess which song we're describing. Now, we all know that the 1970s were a decade of social and political change, not only for the UK or America, but for the world. These changes inspired some of the biggest and best songs that we still listen to today. So keep tuned to reveal the song name. So to kick off the show, what song by the Beatles has the same name as their final studio album together? And the answer is Let It Be by the Beatles. What a great song. And what a shock it was that the Beatles announced that Let It Be would be their final album together. Do you remember when the Beatles split up? Of course this wasn't the end for the Beatles boys, not by far, because many other brilliant songs followed for them individually. And as such, our next politically motivated song comes from none other than John Lennon. Motivated entirely by politics, Lennon and his wife Yoko Ono were usually the centre of political protests against everything from drug laws, death penalties, police brutality and of course the Vietnam War. Vietnam being the influence behind perhaps the best example of a political protest song known to man. This song is played by fans, protesters and of course we hear it a lot at Christmas time. So what is the song? Of course, it was Imagine by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Let's head over to America now, where the 37th President of the United States, President Richard Nixon didn't have the best decade. After being re-elected by a landslide, Nixon found himself at the wrath of the American people when it was found that he had covered up the most infamous Watergate scandal. This prompted many people to lose faith in him, which soon led to him stepping down as US President in 1974. David Bowie once said that he put all of his American experience into the following 1975 song, which is a cynical tale of the American dream, where he directly mentions Nixon, as though to say that faith has been lost in all aspects of American life. Yes, that song was Young Americans by David Bowie. Although America wasn't the only country to have politically inspired music developed within the 1970s. This next song hit headlines back in 1977 as it hit back at the British monarchy and the fascism that took advantage of the working class people in Britain. From the Sex Pistols, this song shocked the nation with its lyrics. That song was God Save the Queen, aptly named after our national anthem. Well, that's all we've got time for today. My name's Georgina and I've been your host for today, and it has been an absolute pleasure. Please stay tuned for more.
Hello again, and I'm here for a very special interview at the record store Canterbury Rocks. And if you want to just quickly introduce yourself.
Jim Hampshire from Canterbury Rock.
What do you remember most about Canterbury in the 70s?
Oh, Canterbury, well, the university was just getting going, less students then. The punk period, obviously, so had some great gigs in Canterbury.
Can you think of, like, examples of
Yes, I was just going to say, one of the best ones, I had a stall in Canterbury Odeon, a stall selling my punk singles, indie singles, and the Ramones were playing, it was Ramones, Talking Heads, and the Boomtown Rats.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a great lineup.
Yeah.
And we got in to set up the stall in the foyer, and we could hear a band, and they were doing a sound check. Actually, we pulled back the curtain or whatever, and it was the Ramones.
Oh wow!
On the stage, and just me and my mate at the back watching them, and they're standing there with their legs apart. And the other thing I can remember, a big American guy, older than most people there, he came out and bought a pile of singles off of me, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, who are they for?" And he went there for Johnny and Dee Dee and the boys. So I probably sold some records to the Ramones. And then I remember Talking Heads were brilliant, and Tina and Wayne would come behind my store at the end of the gig, and Bob Geldof was there, and she said to Bob Geldof, "Why are you trying to look like Richard Howell?" And he went, he's like, "Who the fuck's Richard Howell?" Sort of thing. Yeah. So that was a good one. Pink Floyd played, I think in the 70s, along St Margaret Street. And it was the first gig with Dave Gilmour.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. And we went up at the uni, we've had The Who, Led Zeppelin, Captain Beefheart, The Jam. The Dam was a good one with the adverts, yeah. So the 70s was a great period.
Were there any sort of bigger venues that sort of were around in the 70s in Canterbury that sort of aren't here anymore?
Don't think so. I mean, I know that the university used to have a lot more on, and they used to have them in the sports hall, and we'd sit down on coconut mats quite often. That was the biggest one around here, because the Odeon was more of a cinema, but I did put gigs on it because Blondie played there. That's about it. Westgate Hall was only smallish, and Thomas's Hall, where Arthur Brown played. Now the crazy word of Arthur Brown, he played there.
It's kind of weird though, because like in those days you sort of had loads of, well, I guess maybe at the time they weren't considered big, but in like those days you had loads of big bands that are considered big now, all playing the same show.
Yeah.
And these days you might be lucky to get, if you get one big band, but then all of the others like support bands, you just either don't really know, or they're not like.
Or they'll be local. Or
yeah,
something.
or they're local bands. I guess in some ways that's good.
It's quite good to have a local band.
Gives them a chance.
Some of them request to get a bit bigger.
Exactly.
Or you got to like some of them. So, they're supporting sound, so we're going along to see them.
Were you part of any like particular subcultures in the 70s?
No, not particularly. Somebody put me on Twitter recently because it was 40 years since the Dam was played up at the university with the adverts, and he said that most people were punks there, but he said an energised hippie who had a shop in Whitstable at the time selling punk, which was me. Yeah.
And that was the Stooges there with Down on the Street, released July 1970 from the album Funhouse. And it was actually the opening track to that album, and the album itself was initially commercially unsuccessful. And then it later developed a strong cult following and is now generally considered integral in the development of punk rock itself. And an alternate version of Down on the Street, which features a Doors-style organ overdubbed onto the song, was pulled from the album and released as a single. It was released the same month as Funhouse itself, and fares slightly better in the charts, and that just goes to show that if you add an organ to any song, apparently it somehow improves it. Great advice from musicians of our day, isn't it? And now we have a competition reminder for you. So earlier on we mentioned our competition, and the winner will be announced at the end of the show, and you can be in the chance of winning 2 tickets to see The Who at the Royal Albert Hall on the 1st of April. And all you need to do is tweet us at 60 Minutes of 70's, telling us the name of the TV show from the 70s that these 3 themes are taken from. So here they are again for you. There we go. So tweet us with those 3 answers and we'll announce the winner at the end of the show. And now we're off to see how the roads are faring. Again, we're in England, so there's likely a traffic jam or some idiot has crashed into a lamppost and holding up all of us hard-working folk. So let's hear what's happening with the travel now.
Okay, so on the M25 going clockwise, after junction 1A for the A206 Swanscombe, there's been a severe accident, which is also affecting junction 31 for the A1306 Kent bound. The A229 going both ways near Foster Street in Maidstone, there's some disruption due to road works. And on the A21 going northbound, there's quite a lot of congestion affecting the A228 Tunbridge Wells. We've got an amended timetable in operation on some metro routes until Wednesday the 23rd of November on southeastern services between London Victoria and Dartford due to poor rail conditions. There's also been delays of up to 40 minutes on southeastern services between Orpington and Tunbridge due to signalling problems. If you've got any more traffic news for us, give us a tweet at 60 Minutes of 70's, or you can also contact us by our Facebook page or our website www.60minutesofseventies.wordpress.com.
You're listening to Retro Radio.
Retro Radio.
Bringing you nothing but the classics. On 101.5 FM.
And that was the unmistakable voice of David Bowie there with Queen Bitch, released December 1971 from the album Hunky Dory. And Bowie was a great fan of the Velvet Underground and wrote that song in tribute to the band, especially Lou Reed. And the song's arrangement, featuring a melodic bass line, a tight drum pattern, choppy distorted guitar chords and an understated vocal performance by Bowie, provided the template for the glam rock style that features prominently on The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Now, I for one can't choose between Ziggy Stardust and Hunky Dory, which is the better album. They're both near flawless albums and they both have such phenomenal tracks, but which is better? I'm just going to say it's a draw. We'll just go with that. And the main riff may be similar to the Velvet Underground's Sweet Jane, but it is actually directly lifted from Eddie Cochran's 3 Steps to Heaven. And we'll be back with even more groovy tunes after these short messages.
Smooth, thick, large, or even on the smaller side, round or succulent, whatever takes your fancy. I like mine rough around the edges. Innocent flavour, guilty pleasure. Temptation chocolate bars are now available in store. Have it your way.
Don't run. Don't make a sound. And whatever you do,
don't scream.
Alien isolation.
Experience the terror.
Boogie to the max with 60 minutes of 70s. Be there or be square.
And that was Mott the Hoople with All the Young Dudes. A song I once heard while I was in IKEA and did a little dance to. I'm not ashamed of that. And that was released in July 1972 and made number 3 in the UK single charts. The highest ranking song of any of the songs we've played on this entire show. And it's regarded as one of glam rock's anthems. And the song was originally written by none other than David Bowie, when he came into contact with Mott the Hoople's bassist Pete Watts, learning that the band was ready to split due to continued lack of commercial success. And originally he offered the band Suffragette City, which they actually rejected, God knows why. And then Bowie quickly wrote All the Young Dudes especially for them. Another fun fact about the song is that the original release had to be changed lyrically in order to be played on the radio. The line in the second verse, Wendy's stealing clothes from Marks and Sparks, was a reference to, of course, Marks and Spencer, and that breached copyright laws for advertising at the time. And instead, it had to be replaced with Wendy's stealing clothes from unlocked cars, which seems very weird, very specific, doesn't make much sense, but hey, it works in the song. And now, we know it's still a while away, but you may have noticed lots of decorations and lights everywhere. And you guessed it, I'm going to be talking about Christmas. Now, Christmas songs were a big thing in the 70s, and some of the most iconic Christmas anthems came out of that era. So Lisa is going to talk to you a bit about her findings on Christmas songs through the ages.
So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. And we sing you Merry Christmas every day.
Okay, so I know it's still a little bit early for this, but as we begin the countdown to Christmas Day, I wanted to reflect on the success of Christmas music throughout the 70s. This decade can be recognised as the golden era of Christmas hits, with almost every year having a defining Christmas single. And it's also believed that such success with Christmas music had not been seen before the 70s, or indeed since then. But why is that? What factors have influenced such success for 70s Christmas music? And how and why are these songs still so well known today? One of the things to remember is that glam rock was a huge music phenomenon of the time, and when you think that you had two of the biggest glam rock bands releasing Christmas hits, Slade with Merry Christmas Everybody and Wizzard with I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day, we had the outrageousness and eccentricness of glam rock fused with the fun of the season. This made for two perfect Christmas hits. I wanted to test this theory about 70s Christmas music being the most iconic. So I carried out a survey with the general public to find out which Christmas song was most memorable to them and how many of them actually suggested one from the 70s.
Slade, if over all the years, that's the one I remember.
Slade and Wizzard, so that always sort of takes you back to when you was a child listening to those every year.
Rocking Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee.
My favourite one would be Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas, but Slade's Merry Christmas is the one that always kicks off Christmas for me.
Step Into Christmas by Elton John.
The results of our survey have shown that 51% of them said songs from the 70s, so we had Slade, Wizzard, Elton John with Step Into Christmas. There's a big variety from the 70s. Coming up second place was the 80s, and we only had 9% of people say songs from the 60s. So I guess it has proven our point. The 70s was a very big decade for the Christmas hit. The rise of the Christmas hit could also be related to the success of Top of the Pops. Obviously this was the only chart show at the time, and it reached its peak through the 70s. It just became this really exciting thing. Everybody wanted to know who was going to get the #1 spot, and Christmas was no exception to this. At the end of every year, Top of the Pops had their Christmas special, which revealed the new Christmas #1. But it was only really in the 70s that we started seeing dedicated Christmas songs entering the charts. 4 out of the 10 Christmas #1s through the 70s were actual Christmas songs, and they have all become a novelty at Christmas time. I think that's why they have maintained their popularity up until now.
That was Black Sabbath with Nib, released 13th of February 1970, taken from their self-titled debut album. And whenever people say Black Sabbath, you immediately think of the album Paranoid, but for me, the most phenomenal Black Sabbath album is definitely their debut album, and it has such beautiful album artwork as well. The lyrics are in the first person from the point of view of Lucifer. Lyricist Geezer Butler has said that the song was about the devil falling in love and totally changing, becoming a good person. And the song's main riff, as well as Osbourne's vocal delivery, have been noted for their strongly Cream-influenced sound. Geezer Butler also states that the title simply refers to Bill Ward's goatee at the time, which the rest of the band thought was shaped like a pen nib. Now, after the break, we will be informing you of the winner of our competition. Oh my god, so exciting. So stay on the edge of your seats to see if you're our lucky winner.
Children are a blessing. I only have one, but I'd love more.
Mummy,
Yes, love, always needing something, but that's the fun in being a parent.
I'm scared.
You're their hero, the one to make all the bad things go away.
There's a monster under my bed.
It's okay, there's nothing here, sweetheart.
But what if you can't make the bad things go away?
I haven't done anything wrong. Don't look under the bed.
I used to look under the bed for monsters, now I look for drugs.
If you suspect your teenager is on drugs, please call the Teen Troubles drug line on 0800 40 60 80.
Shubo.
From the office to the beach.
Shubo. Where you go, I go. For the latest styles and offers, go to shubo.com.
Get ready to get down and groove with 60 minutes of 70s. 60 minutes of 70s. Be there or be square.
So now, as I promised, it's time for our competition winner. Woo, yeah! And I can now reveal the answer to our competition. So the names of those 3 70s TV show themes were in order: Fawlty Towers, Happy Days, and The Good Life. And we have selected one lucky winner who tweeted us the correct answer. And that winner is Steve Jones from Cardiff. So well done, Steve. You're going to be off to see The Who on the 1st of April. How exciting. I am incredibly jealous of you. But now, unfortunately, we've come to the very end of our show. Oh no! But we still have time for one song, and that's The Powerman by the Kinks. And I know what you're thinking. What are they doing here? Aren't they a 60s band? But no, this song was taken from the Kinks' greatly overlooked album Lola vs. Powerman, and it was deemed a comeback album for them, and also included the now incredibly famous song, which has been covered countless times, Lola. It's my favourite Kinks track and was used in the soundtrack for Wes Anderson's 2007 film The Darjeeling Limited. So that brings us thereabouts into the modern day now. And I hope you've enjoyed the show, and if you want to show us some love, head over to our WordPress at 60minutesof70s.wordpress.com. Find us on Facebook at 60 Minutes of 70s, or tweet us telling us how much you love the show. And we'll be back next week to transport you to the 70s again. So peace out.
Retro Radio. Bringing you nothing but the classics on 101.5 FM.